Here we have a pretty old robot. It's an RTX from Universal Machine Intelligence, and we can see here the configuration is a SCARA type configuration. So we've got the links here and here and here, and for the Z-axis up and down it's one long belt which makes it move up and down. So at the top here we have the shoulder, which rotates. Then we have the elbow, which rotates. And then we have the wrist. And then underneath we have the gripper. So let's have a look at what's inside these items. So I'll have a look at the forearm. So as you can see here, it's simply a motor which is hiding underneath there on a toothed belt, which makes the wrist rotate. A bit more interesting if we look at the shoulder. So the actual elbow motor is here. So that's the motor itself, which is a tooth belt which turns this, which then turns the shoulder. So if I the elbow. So if I move the elbow, you can see that this motor is moving. Now what's quite interesting about this motor is you can see that as I rotate this, you can see a motor here which is an encoder. So every time the motor moves a small amount, it moves this wheel between these light sensors which can detect the direction of the motor. Let's have a look at the wrist. So within the wrist we have two motors, and on the back of the motors again we have the encoders. These are encoders because they're wheels with little holes in, and as these wheels rotate, they're rotating a couple of cogs inside here, which makes this whole wrist assembly move. So as one moves, it moves one half of this either this way or that way, and as this one moves, it moves the other half either this way or that way. If they both move together, it makes the wrist pitch, and if they move opposite, it makes the wrist rotate. It's a bit difficult to show you really. I'd have to turn this quite a lot to actually get some motion out of it. But we might be able to see it a bit clearer here. We have the gripper motor, so I can override the gripper motor. The other side of the gripper motor is some cogs here, but as I rotate this, you can see that this motor is rotating. As the motor rotates, it moves the gripper. So when the robot first starts off, it doesn't know where all of these joints are. These are only known as incremental encoders, so every rotation, every small rotation, it just interrupts the light beam slightly. So what the robot does is it closes all of its joints to its maximum or minimum value. So for example, it will close the gripper. So it closes the gripper, it moves the motor until the gripper closes and the motor is stalled. It detects that the motor stopped moving by detects no more movement in this encoder wheel. And then it zeroes it, so it says, okay, well that's a zero position. So every time the motor moves, it counts its pulses, and then it can relate it to the width of the gripper. So it does that with all of these joints. All of these joints have got a minimum and maximum. For example, the shoulder will move to its extreme, which is there. It then resets itself, and the elbow will close itself to a minimum there. So we have our joints here and joints here and joints here, and these items are the links in between the joints. Which are connected to the end point, which is the gripper in this case.